Arsenal are in the Champions League final. Let that sink in for a moment. 20 years, 2 decades of waiting, 2 decades of near misses, disappointments and rebuilding. And tonight, on a historic evening at the Emirates Stadium, Mikel Arteta's side did what so many doubted they could do. They beat Atletico Madrid 1-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate, and they are through to the biggest club game in European football. This is not a dream. This is reality. The event begins. The final whistle blew and the Emirates erupted. Squawka Live confirmed it immediately, full time. Arsenal 1, Atletico Madrid 0, 2-1 on aggregate. The Gunners are in the Champions League final. Now, let me be very clear about what that means statistically before we go any deeper. Arsenal outshot Atletico Madrid 13 shots to 9. They completed 377 passes compared to Atletico's 318. They controlled possession at 53.5% to 46.5%. They won 5 corners to Atletico's 2. And crucially, on the night, they kept a clean sheet. Those are not the numbers of a lucky team. Those are the numbers of a team that came to the Emirates with a plan and executed it with ruthless discipline. Now, here is what people need to understand about what was at risk tonight. Arsenal went into this second leg with a 1-0 lead from the first leg. That lead was fragile. Atletico Madrid, under Diego Simeone, are one of the most dangerous teams in Europe when they need a goal. They are organised, physical and extremely experienced in knockout football. 1 Atletico goal and suddenly the tie is level. 2 Atletico goals and Arsenal are out. The pressure on this Arsenal squad tonight was immense. And that is exactly why what happened inside the Emirates was so significant. If you want deeper analysis on stories like this and you want the full picture broken down properly, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists to give Arsenal fans the analysis they deserve, not just the headlines. Let us now go through everything that happened tonight step by step. Squawka Live, the match statistics. Squawka Live posted the final numbers immediately after the whistle. Arsenal 1, Atletico Madrid 0, 2-1 on aggregate. The Gunners are in the Champions League final. The statistics tell the full story of this match. Arsenal had 13 shots to Atletico's 9. Both teams had 2 shots on target, which shows just how tight and controlled this game was defensively. Both sides had 20 touches in the opposition box, which proves Atletico were dangerous and Arsenal were not simply sitting back. Arsenal completed 377 passes to Atletico's 318. Possession was 53.5% for Arsenal and 46.5% for Atletico. Arsenal won 5 corners compared to Atletico's 2, and Arsenal committed 10 fouls to Atletico's 13. My analysis on this, what stands out to me in these numbers, is not just the possession or the shots, it is the discipline. Arsenal committed fewer fouls, they gave away fewer corners, they controlled the game without being reckless. That is the sign of a mature, well-coached team that understood the assignment tonight. They did not need to dominate completely. They needed to win, and they did. Premier League official Twitter, Arsenal are through. The Premier League's official account confirmed it. Arsenal are through to the Champions League final. The Gunners will face either Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich. My analysis. The fact that the Premier League themselves posted this tells you everything about the magnitude of this moment. This is not just an Arsenal story tonight. This is an English football story. An English club is in the Champions League final, and depending on how the other semi-final goes, there could even be an all-English final or an English versus German or English versus French final. The stakes for English football could not be higher. Bukayo Saka, post-match reaction. After the game, Bukayo Saka spoke directly about the pressure that has surrounded this Arsenal squad. His words were powerful. He said, "You are taking away from the celebrations. There is no way you are going to be in this position and not have pressure. How can you expect people to not talk about you and criticise you, and we have to block it out? We did that. And now we are in the Champions League final." My analysis. I want you to pay close attention to what Saka is saying here. He is not deflecting. He is not making excuses. He is addressing the noise directly. This is a young man who has been under enormous scrutiny this season, and tonight he scored the goal that sent Arsenal to the final. There is a maturity in those words that tells you this squad is mentally strong. They have been doubted, criticised and questioned, and their answer was a goal and a clean sheet at the Emirates. That is the best possible response. TNT Sports. 20 years later, TNT Sports posted a graphic comparing Arsenal's 2 Champions League final appearances. 2005 to 2006 under Arsene Wenger, and now 2025 to 2026 under Mikel Arteta. 20 years, 2 different eras, 2 different managers, 1 club. My analysis. This graphic is more emotional than statistical, but it is important. The 2005 to 2006 Arsenal squad had players like Thierry Henry, Robert Pires and Ashley Cole. That team lost the final to Barcelona. Now Arteta has built something different. Different players, different methods, but the same ambition. And what makes this current squad special is that they got here unbeaten through 14 Champions League matches. The 2005 to 2006 side never did that. This squad right now may actually be more impressive in European terms than that legendary Wenger generation. Statman Dave, Declan Rice by numbers. The statistics posted for Declan Rice tonight were extraordinary. 100% successful take-ons, 75 touches, 62 passes attempted, 56 passes completed, 28 carries, 8 passes into the final third, 6 ground duels contested, 5 ground duels won, 3 progressive carries. The verdict from Statman Dave was simple: outstanding, on the big stage again. My analysis. These numbers confirm what the eye test tells you every time Declan Rice plays. He is one of the best midfielders in Europe right now. Look at that pass completion rate. 56 completed from 62 attempted. That is 90.3% pass accuracy in a Champions League semi-final, second leg against one of the most defensively organised teams in the world. And he did not just pass sideways. 8 passes into the final third shows he was progressing the game as well. Rice was the engine of everything Arsenal did tonight. SofaScore, Declan Rice carrying distance. SofaScore added another layer to the Rice performance. The largest ball carrying distance at the Emirates tonight belonged to Declan Rice at 385.6 metres. Second was Koke of Atletico at 198.1 metres. Third was Matteo Ruggeri at 159.1 metres. Rice also had 28 carries, 3 progressive carries, 124.4 metres of total progression, and his longest progressive carry was 49.7 metres. My analysis: 385.6 metres of carrying. That is nearly double what the second highest player managed tonight. Rice did not just pass the ball well. He physically carried Arsenal forward again and again at the highest level of European football. That is an elite level of physical and technical performance combined. There are very few midfielders in the world who can match that output. Statman Dave, Miles Lewis-Skelly by numbers. Now let us talk about the young man who is becoming one of Arsenal's most important players. Miles Lewis-Skelly's numbers tonight: 100% aerial duels, 90% aerial duels won, 55 touches, 19 carries, 5 passes into the final third, 2 progressive carries, 2 fouls won, 1 chance created. Another top performance. My analysis: Lewis-Skelly is 19 years old. He started in the midfield for Arsenal in a Champions League semi-final second leg, and he produced those numbers. 19 carries in midfield, 5 passes into the final third, 1 chance created. Those are not the numbers of a young player just surviving at this level. Those are the numbers of a player who belongs here. The fact that he also won 90% of his aerial duels shows his physicality is already elite despite his age. Arsenal have an extraordinary talent on their hands. Opta Joe, club record for wins in a single season. Opta Joe confirmed a remarkable piece of history tonight. Arsenal have equalled their club record for most wins in a single season, 41 wins across all competitions. The previous record was also 41, set in the 1970-71 campaign. My analysis: the 1970-71 Arsenal squad is considered one of the greatest in the club's history. They won the league and FA Cup double that season. The fact that this current Arteta squad has now matched their win total tells you the scale of what is being achieved this year. And there is still a Champions League final to come. If Arsenal win in Budapest, they will break that record. Think about that. Squawka, Arsenal unbeaten against Spanish clubs. Arsenal are now unbeaten in their last 8 Champions League matches against Spanish clubs, with 7 wins and 1 draw. My analysis: 7 wins and 1 draw in 8 matches against Spanish opposition in the Champions League. That includes clubs from one of the strongest leagues in Europe, including Atletico Madrid tonight. That record is not a coincidence. It speaks to Arsenal's tactical intelligence, their ability to adapt, and their mental strength against elite opposition. Spanish clubs are typically organised, technically excellent, and hard to break down. Arsenal have found a way to handle them consistently. Adam Keyes, Victor Gyökeres. Journalist Adam Keyes wrote passionately about Victor Gyökeres tonight. He described Gyökeres as a warrior desperate to win. He said Gyökeres gave Arsenal everything. He fought for every ball. He ran defenders into channels they did not want to go. He drew fouls. He held the ball up. He brought others into the game. And even in injury time, he was providing a constant out ball. My analysis, Gyökeres did not score tonight. But what he did was arguably more important. He gave Arsenal's attack a reference point, a focal point, and a physical presence that Atletico simply could not handle easily. His work rate created space and time for Saka and Trossard, and his goal eventually came through Saka's tap-in after Trossard's shot was saved. Without Gyökeres running the channels and pressing from the front, that move might never have happened. Goals are not always scored by the player who contributes most to them. Opta-Joe, Arsenal unbeaten in first 14 UCL matches. Opta-Joe confirmed a historic record. Of the 44 instances of a team playing 14 or more games in a Champions League campaign, Arsenal are now the only one to remain unbeaten through their first 14 matches of a single edition. My analysis. This is genuinely unprecedented. No other team in the entire history of the Champions League, across 44 instances where a team played 14 or more games in a single campaign, has ever gone unbeaten through all 14. Arsenal are not just in the final, they are making history with every passing match. That record alone tells you that this is a special team in a special season. Squawka, 14-game unbeaten run in European history. Squawka confirmed that Arsenal have now gone 14 consecutive matches without defeat in European Cup and Champions League football. That is the longest unbeaten run in the club's entire European history. The run includes wins over Athletic Club, Olympiacos, Atletico Madrid, Slavia Prague, Bayern Munich, Club Brugge and others. My analysis, Bayern Munich is in that list. Atletico Madrid appears twice when you include both legs. These are not easy opponents. These are elite European clubs, and Arsenal have beaten them all. 14 matches without a single defeat. The evidence is overwhelming. This Arsenal squad right now in 2025-26 is the best European Arsenal squad the club has ever produced. Opta-Joe, 20-year gap. Opta-Joe confirmed that Arsenal's return to the final marks the longest gap between Champions League final appearances of any club since Atletico Madrid in 2014, which was a 40-year gap. It is also the longest gap by an English club since Liverpool in 2005, also a 20-year wait. My analysis, context is everything in football. 20 years is a generation. Supporters who were children in 2005 are now adults with children of their own who will watch this final. The weight of that gap makes tonight's achievement even more meaningful. Arteta has given Arsenal supporters something they have not felt in 2 full decades. Squawka David Raya clean sheet record. Squawka posted a remarkable goalkeeper statistic tonight. The most clean sheets kept in a single Champions League campaign by a goalkeeper at an English club. 9 clean sheets. Edouard Mendy in 2020-21. And now 9 clean sheets for David Raya in 2025-26. Raya could break the record outright if Arsenal keep a clean sheet in the final in Budapest. My analysis. David Raya has been one of the most consistent goalkeepers in this entire Champions League. 9 clean sheets means Arsenal's defence has been almost impenetrable throughout this campaign. And the fact that Raya now has the opportunity to break the record in the final adds another personal storyline to an already historic occasion. A clean sheet in the final would be both a team achievement and an individual record for one of the best goalkeepers in Europe this season. Alan Shearer, the unsung heroes. Alan Shearer made a point of highlighting 2 players who did not always get the headlines. On Miles Lewis-Skelly, Shearer said he liked his positivity. His first thought is always to pass forward, and when that is not on, he goes back. Shearer said that kind of midfielder makes life so much easier for forwards. On Ben White, Shearer praised his defensive work and his relationship with Saka going forward. He noted White had to put a real shift in defensively and did it well. My analysis. When Alan Shearer is praising your unsung heroes on a night when your star player scored and your striker was outstanding, it tells you the depth of Arsenal's performance. This was not a night where 2 or 3 players carried the team. This was a night where 11 players performed and the substitutes contributed as well. That is the hallmark of a team that is genuinely built to compete for the biggest trophies. The evidence tonight is overwhelming and clear. Arsenal are in the Champions League final. They are unbeaten in 14 matches across this campaign. They have equalled their all-time club record of 41 wins in a single season. David Raya has matched the record for most clean sheets by an English club's goalkeeper in a single Champions League campaign. And they have done all of this playing football that has impressed not just their own supporters, but the wider football world. The final will be played in Budapest. The opponents will be either Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich. Both would represent an enormous challenge. But based on everything Arsenal have produced across 14 Champions League matches this season, based on the form of Saka, Gyökeres, Rice, Lewis-Skelly and the rest of this squad, the reality is clear. Arsenal are not just happy to be in the final, Arsenal believe they can win it. And after watching what happened tonight at the Emirates, it is very difficult to argue against them. This has been Melissa, Arsenal analyst. If this breakdown gave you the full picture, subscribe, like and share with every Arsenal supporter you know. This is the biggest moment in 20 years. Let us enjoy every second of it together.